So this question that is starting our inquiry here, why write a text? What's in it for the person who creates it, the people who interpret it and share it? Why do we construct these elaborate texts? But to begin digging into that and this idea of communication, we really need to start with not just why a text, but what is a text? Because when we think of a text, of course, we think of traditional essays, novels, the written word, legitimately. But if we can expand that idea and consider that a text is so many other things. Advertising is text, propaganda, art, whether it's abstract or simple, signs. Even the most simple sign is a text. Consider a restroom sign. There's no words, and yet it is communicating what this room is and who it's for. Even though there's nothing on it, not one thing on it that actually tells you what this room is or what kind of person goes in it, because the picture on it does not look like any woman you've ever seen in your life. Consider then even something like challenging artwork. You may not get it, but you get a feel. There is communication happening there. Or even the sign, the I don't dial 911 sign. This is a good example where the communication of the text is not about what it's literally saying, but instead the message is trying to convey. And that's an important piece in what makes a text work. You see, the person who puts up that sign, I don't dial 911, I'm thinking they do. If they're getting chest pains and shooting stabbing pains down their left arm, guess who I think they're going to call? That's not what they're trying to tell you. They're not protesting the 911 system. What they're telling you is do not break into this establishment. If you do, I will kill you. That's what they're saying. They just aren't using the words because those words would be less effective. And so much about how we communicate comes down to not the literal words we use, but how we use them. Look at examples such as using periods in texting. This is not just you being paranoid. So we've had to learn to communicate in new ways. Emojis didn't just come out of laziness, as they came out of the limitations of the text environment, text message environment. Because what this comes down to is all language is reading, it's symbol-guided thought. What I mean by that is that words and letters don't have an inherent meaning. Language is composed of two things, a signifier and a signified. The signifier is just the collection of shapes or sounds that we have assigned a meaning to. And the signified is how they get interpreted. Consider this fact right now. The sounds I'm making while I talk to you don't mean anything inherently. They're just noise. It's a collection of sounds assembled in a certain order. I'm thinking thoughts, turning them into this collection of sounds and putting them out there, and you are hearing this rapid ramble of noise, and your brain is interpreting it so fast you don't even realize you're doing it until now, and you're starting to think about it, and it's starting to freak you out. So I should probably stop. Or I could double down. And I could point out the fact that actually, because you're listening to this via computer, what I'm saying has been interpreted by the computer and broken down into zeros and ones, which is its language, and then reinterpreted from that back into an assemblage of noise, which you are interpreting. But I don't want to point that out. The point is, a text, writing, language, it's an agreed upon code on how to communicate. To go back to simple images, this doesn't look like a person. But when I put it up there, you think, person. Because we've agreed that that's a code for person. And yet when we look at a far more realistic image from another culture, we think, do they even know what people look like? They should learn how to make better people. So what this boils down to then is when we think about a text, it's not just an essay. It's not just a novel. It is anything that has been composed by an author for the purpose of communication. The rules, all of those bits and pieces that go into it, those are just an assembly of things that we have seen over time that work. That's why the rules of writing are there, not because they're fixed, but because they're what most commonly work. And that's what you want to focus on as you're advancing your writing, is thinking about this essence. Who am I talking to? How much time do I have? How do I best talk to them? How do I communicate?